What's good, Internet? We're live. Another episode of Morningwood. Welcome to everybody who's joining us on this beautiful Tuesday morning. You're here with your boys, Corey and Larry. How's the extended weekend?
Wow, big weekend over here. Played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Didn't go outside too much.
That's exactly how you like it.
Yep. I watched Mulan. Mulan was great.
Wow. Oddly enough, I bet you can't believe it, I feel like the internet didn't love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million social issues that I don't know. I can't get there.
Okay, but it was an enjoyable film.
It's enjoyable. There you go.
All right, I'll take it. I actually have to re-up my Disney Plus. I forgot to do that when somebody hacked into my credit card.
Nice.
And I had to cancel it. All right, let's start with the Nuggets Clippers game.
Let's do it.
All right, so obviously it sucks for the Nuggets. They let this one get away.
Yeah, they can't let this one get away. But when Paul George is playing like that, they're a different team.
I mean, that's the obvious. The one thing, and obviously the big moment was Kawhi's middle finger block or whatever.
Sure.
But God, even though Kawhi had like a mediocre game by his standards, I still feel like he dominated the game when he wanted to.
He's just so damn good. His ability to impact the game is uncanny compared to what other stars or other top players can do. He can just impact the game on any part of the floor, defense, offense, whatever he's got to do, he's able to impact it that turns into winning.
It's whenever he wants too. Like that's the thing. Like Paul George influences the game when he gets hot.
Right.
Kawhi influences it when he wants to put his imprint on the game.
For sure.
It's insane. Like I mean, I'm trying to think of the last player that I felt like this about. Because a lot of times with LeBron, the difference is like I feel like a lot of times with LeBron was doing it so much out of necessity that he was doing it the same way, but it was like more powerful. Like it was in your face. You knew when it was happening. With Kawhi, it's so subtle, and he's just He just like even if it's a big bucket, it's still like boring. It's dribbles.
Got it.
Rise up.
I think I got a good answer. I don't think it's as impactful as Kawhi, but I feel like Jason Kidd is there.
Okay.
Jason Kidd can literally, he just impacts games whether he's touching the ball or not.
Yeah. And he was not necessarily like vocal. Like he wasn't like screaming after he made a layup or a great pass. He was also kind of like silent assassin-y when he was playing. That's pretty good one. As far as like the little details of the game, one, Gary Harris is an unbelievable defender. Every time I watch him, I get so impressed. Like I don't know what happened to his offense that it fell off a cliff. And he's in his early to mid 20s. That part doesn't make sense to me. But as a defensive player, he raises Denver's ceiling so significantly.
Sure. And I just think Denver needs the offense, which sucks. Because I feel like, we kind of been touching on it the whole time, talking about the series, that Denver's going to need somebody else. They gotta feed Jokic, what they have been doing, but they need someone else to be able to go off. And one of these, they just need one guy to go off. Jamal Murray, 5 for 17. Jeremy Grant, 5 for 14. Michael Porter Jr., 8 for 17. It's just they can't get efficient looks that turn into baskets. It's a real struggle for them. But what I really don't like too that they're doing, it's a lot of Jokic a step in front of the 3-point line. I want that ball to be a little bit closer. I want it to be maybe in that Dirk spot, maybe in that free throw elbow area. I don't want it. He gets the ball on the 3-point line or outside it, or I'm sorry, right in front of it, way too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, you want him low, man. Adele, what's good? Thanks for watching. Ray, what's happening, man? Game turnaround after that Porter dunk. Yeah, that dunk was crazy.
Momentum's real. It really is.
So here's my thing with Murray, because this is the thing that everybody forgot about, because he had the 50-point, 40-point games in the last series. Those scoring outbursts are not what makes you a superstar. What makes you a superstar is the ability to not
sell shoes off the scoring points that you had.
That's it. That was my point. What makes you a superstar is getting 25 to 30 every night. Not like just having a hot streak. It's being able to get 25 to 30.
Yeah, it's consistency. It always has been about consistency, and you're not going to have the advantage of every matchup. So how do you score points or be efficient in not advantageous matchups for yourself? Sorry, continue.
And well, that's the thing. Like that was the difference. Like I believed that Donovan Mitchell was going to be able to get to that point every night.
Sure.
I was still shocked when Jamal Murray was doing it. And he just doesn't have a history of that consistency. And that's the thing. Like, oh, did he make the leap into being a superstar? Well, thus far, if you look at the game log, his first game, he was bad or mediocre. He had a good game in game 2 where he went off and he looked like that superstar. And last night, he kind of was not there. He was disappeared. And he shot, like you said, what was he, 5 for 17, 2 free throws. That's the big thing. And I know that Pat Beverly did his thing where he was saying that Jokic puts a lot of pressure on the refs to make calls and blah, 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 blah. Jokic shot 4 free throws.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Pat Beverly's job. Pat Beverly's supposed to be annoying.
He shot 4. The Nuggets don't have guys that you can rely on to get to the free throw line. I don't even want to get into Jeremy Grant's last couple of minutes of the game because he was murdering them.
I think that's the difference. I think that's what stars do. When stars are not, when their shot isn't going or someone's playing lockdown defense on them, they figure out a way to get to the line. That's how it always has been. If Kobe's shooting 2 for 15, Kobe would then somehow shoot 15 free throws. That's just what stars do. That they don't have. You're not going to have the chess pieces every time to be in your favor. So what do you do to try to switch the momentum and put in your favor? You got to get to the line. You got to draw fouls. They just don't have anybody to do that. And again, Jokic getting the ball from the goddamn 3-point line consistently. Yeah, that's not going to help you get free throws.
You can't make basketball moves to the hoop when he's that far out. If he's at the elbow, if he's at the block, he can make a basketball move to get to the line. You can't back somebody down from the 3-point line. There's too much help that's going to come your way.
He had a hooking call yesterday because he was just too far out. It's just like, dude, if he gets the ball, it's not like, again, the Clippers front court isn't pushing him out. He's voluntarily going out. Right.
And that's so. Back to Jeremy Grant. I don't fault Jeremy Grant for missing the shots he missed. They were good shots, whatever, he missed them. But it's the LeBron thing, right? Like early Cleveland LeBron. He was making those passes, which are the right passes, right? You're hitting the open guy. But like Jeremy Grant was open for a reason. So in this moment, I needed to see Jamal Murray, I needed to see Jokic not make those passes and sometimes take the worst shot because it's coming from your superstar. Like you said, get to the line. They don't have that. Like, forget superstar. Jimmy Butler does a great job of it. Jimmy struggled with his shot all year, but Miami won because Jimmy's a guy who in the fourth quarter could put the ball on the floor, get to the free throw line. That's how he was able to maintain his efficiency.
For sure.
Denver just doesn't have that. Jokic could be that because he's a handful on the block. He's just got to be on the block on that elbow area. So if I'm Mike Malone, that's something that I'm looking to figure out going forward from here.
Yeah, and just to put in perspective for people who aren't addicted to reading the stat lines, free throws attempted, the Clippers, 26. Not made, attempted. Free throws attempted for Denver, 10. Again, this is not made. This is a 10. They took 10 free throws. You're not going to win in the playoffs like that. There's never been a team that does that.
No. So they got to get to the line. That's just point blank. Something I noticed about the Clippers, because they're still doing this on-off thing. I still don't love the energy that they bring. And one of the things that I think, and it depends, because if the Lakers win, they're kind of in the same boat. They don't have guys who I'm like, they're going to come off the bench and just rain down a barrage of threes to separate the game. Obviously, Lou Williams is capable of having a night where he puts up 30 points off the bench. Montrezl Harrell is capable of having a night where he scores 20 to 25 off the bench. I get that, but neither one of those guys are, he just came in the game and now the lead that was 4 is now 12 because they knocked down, like they don't have the Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero guys. They have guys like Landry Shamet doesn't scare me like Miami's guys do.
No. Yeah, they just don't have both teams shot very poor from 3-point last night. They definitely need a guy like that because right now they're relying on Jeff Green and Lou Will basically to carry everything from there.
So that's something that like they play Houston. Like Houston's just that's their whole thing. They just got guys that you feel helpless with. The Warriors, you felt helpless when they stretched the lead because they hit some threes.
Threes worth more than 2.
Threes worth more than 2. But like they just have the deeper you get, like it's harder for them to separate leads because they play a lot in the mid post area. In the mid range, they play a lot trying to get to the free throw line, and it's all good. It's all efficient. It works. They could put points up, but it's not something that like makes me watch a game and feel like a team is out of it.
No, and it shows. The 3-point is it's the golden gun of the NBA right now. You need to have players that can shoot threes, and for some reason, 2 of our top teams don't have players that can hit threes consistently.
No, that's again we're really pushing J.R. Swish and Dion Waiters to the side here, but yeah, I don't know. It's just something I noticed, and I don't know if that's something that's going to hurt them down the line. I don't think it matters for this particular series. And again,
no, not for this series.
And if you're playing the Lakers in the next round, if they happen to beat Houston, which we'll get to in a little bit, I don't know if it hurts them there. But something that I want to monitor. So let's switch over. We'll go to Celtics Raptors. Here's my question. And this is only year 1 post Kawhi, where Siakam took that leap in the regular season. Right now, in a playoff series for the Raptors, are you taking prime Raptors DeMar DeRozan or year 1 Kawhi-less Siakam?
I'm definitely taking DeRozan. DeRozan can at least get to the line.
I'm taking DeRozan too. One, I just wanted to shout out DeRozan because I feel like everybody thinks
everybody shits on him because he's an analytical nightmare appearing to metrics, but he's a good goddamn player, and I would love for the Knicks to have him. Not at the money he's going to demand, but no, that's a little surreal the way I said that, but not for the money that he's going to demand. But I think he's a great basketball player that can absolutely help any of these teams because again, Toronto's having the same problem. The Celtics are very long. They can't. The Toronto can't. All their shots are rushed, difficult shots. The 2 games they won, those difficult shots were going in. The 3 games they lost, those shots are not going in. These are hard shots, and they have no other offense. They can't get to the line.
Like even Siakam's game 4, where he had 23, he was 10 of 23, 2 of 13 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Like the playoffs is about getting to the free throw line, and it's about stars getting to the free throw line more than anything else. A lot of the role players, whatever, that you just do your thing. You just try to maintain what you were able to do in the regular season because that's hard enough for role players to maintain that level that they were at, especially as teams game plan. But we're 5 games in, and Siakam's shot 14 free throws in 5 games. And
yeah, you're not going to win like that. You're not a star when you're doing that.
And look, like we've mentioned, like Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, they're just too small to rely on night to night being your number 1 guy. It doesn't work. It didn't work for Chris Paul in the Oklahoma City series. It's not going to work for Lowry and VanVleet. It's nice when those shots go in, make or miss league, but it's got to be Siakam. Siakam's got to be their guy. The NBA has rewarded those kind of big, tall wing players. So how does he develop his off the dribble game that he can consistently get himself to the line?
Now, I think let's also break down kind of why it is so important to get the free throw line. Because the last 2 series we kind of really drove the point home. One being, if you have a guy who is an 80% free throw shooter, which is pretty average, those are that's two high quality points that you can possibly get right there, as well as on the opposite side, they have to, if someone gets into foul trouble early, gets 1 or 2 fouls early, you're also losing a defender. Yeah. Therefore, they got to take them out, or they play different. If everyone's played basketball and you got 3 fouls in the first half of your game, you're playing different. There's just no other way. You're playing less aggressive. You have no choice but to do that, or you got to move on to cover somebody else, as well as momentum's big. Again, momentum's big. If you have a team that goes down and just keeps hitting threes, it's the same idea. Anyone played horse or around the world or anything like that, and when they keep hitting shots over and over again, and you get the rebound to give it back to them, you eventually roll it on the ground to them because you were trying to ruin their momentum, and that's what free throws does. It stops the clock, gives teammates a breather, and now you're really just affecting the entire momentum of the game that way.
Yeah, you're slowing it down. You're like teams that are hitting a bunch of threes, teams like the Celtics that are capable of that, they want to just go, go, go.
Yeah.
You get them to the line, you're resting, you're getting them out of rhythm.
When James Harden's shooting 16 free throws a game, hitting 14 of them, that's killing you from the inside. It really is. And the worry with that too, you get a player like James Harden who's so goddamn good at a step back 3 plus getting to the line. You basically have your defender in ice skates at all times. It's the reason why he's so damn good. If he's going to drive, is he going to step back, or is he just going to drive and then you're late and you're going to end up fouling?
Yeah. So here's my next thing, and here's my little rant. And it's an internet rant. So of course this shouldn't be shocking that people on the internet make bad points. Here's my Pat Bev's fooling y'all moment, because they're smart, analytical people on NBA Twitter. And after Jaylen Brown, it was very opportunistic, because I think that Jaylen Brown has taken a step up in this regular season and then in the postseason. I've been super impressed by how he plays. Everything looks like he's figured out the speed of the NBA. Everything looks natural. Everything about him, I love watching. And somebody captioned that Jaylen Brown, because he's not playing the role of creator, has looked bad. And it was obviously opportunistic in that game 4 that he struggled shooting wise. It wasn't after his last game where he had 27 on 10 of 18. And it wasn't even about his shooting necessarily. It was about how he's not a passer. And this is how you could separate people who, even if they're smart breaking down game clips, even if they're a good writer, this is how you separate people, knowing that these dudes have never stepped on a basketball court. These dudes have never played within the concept of team. They just watch stuff. And there's value in that. I'm not saying that you can't understand the game that way, but there has to be a balance. You have to understand things outside of just the obvious in front of you. Jaylen Brown's role is not to be a creator. His role is to defend. It is to hit shots. It's to move the ball. It's not to get in a pick and roll, come off the pick and roll, and read the second option and hit the weak side shooter. It's not what that's not what he is. That's maybe Jason Tatum, the next step that he's taking, and he's actually looked really good doing that recently. That's Kemba's job. That's Marcus Smart's job. Not every single player on your team needs to be a superstar, jack of all trades guy. That's not what Jaylen does. Jaylen has looked so good playing his role. And I bet that's what Brad Stevens wants him to do. He wants him to be Jaylen Brown. Be athletic. Defend. Hit open shots. Take guys off the dribble. Score when you can. That's what he wants him to do. And that's fine, because when he does that, and he does it effectively, he does a great job of it. He's going to have nights where he doesn't score. And so maybe his lack of passing might hurt more. But the thing is, the Celtics have that every single guy, next man up, that somebody else can take care of you. And the other thing is, Gordon Hayward had that role from the wing, above Tatum, above Jaylen Brown. He was the guy that ran the pick and rolls, who was the guy who initiated the offense a lot of times. So it's hard to step into a role that you're not accustomed to. One, when it's just like year to year and you're trying to add something to your game. It's hard enough to do that. It's then hard enough to do it mid-season to step up into somebody else's role, especially when you're probably the second option that should be doing it anyway. But I couldn't believe that there were a few people who were NBA Twitter likes that were actually liking this post that Jaylen Brown somehow.
Well, this is how false narratives get created. One dude thinks he's smart, 10 people like it, and all of a sudden a narrative is created, and that's not the situation. No. Brad Stevens is a great coach, and what he's doing is putting all of his players. The way you win games is, in my opinion, it's not covering your team's weaknesses. It's exploiting your team's strengths.
Yeah.
And that's what it always has been. So you have to put players, you have to put your pieces in the best chances, the best places to succeed. This is Jaylen Brown's best place to succeed. That would help the entire team. And as everyone in the Celtics are buying into their role. It's why they're a great team.
It is. I feel like it's the Chiefs thing in football. Like every player on the Chiefs is built to their strengths and to accentuate the strength of their superstar.
Sure.
There's no hiding of weaknesses. They're just all playing to their strengths and doing what they do, which is be athletic, be fast, and let Patrick Mahomes do the rest. I feel like that's what winning teams do. They take on the personality of their superstar and they try to fit players around it. When Steve Nash and the 7 seconds or less Suns were playing, it was, how do we get guys who could run up and down the court, a guy who could play a pick and roll, and some shooters? Yeah, they couldn't defend as well as you'd have liked. But outside of a shady call, with Robert Horry, that team was a championship level team.
And also, on the other side of that, when they took on Shaq, it made that team weird as fuck because that's not what they do.
It didn't work. Their weakness was that down low, how to get points when it was, the nitty gritty time, but that's not how they played.
So, I appreciate them trying, they tried to do something different because, they already spent a few years working on that same team and it just wasn't getting there.
Right.
But it was trading for Shaq. It changed the entire momentum of that team.
No. And that's what I have to respect about the way that the Rockets play. They play, and they put players around James Harden to accentuate his strengths. And so far, obviously, it's a little hit or miss, but when it hits, it looks great. And the one thing, while James Harden hasn't got over the proverbial hump, and while he's had his moments where he's looked shaky in the playoffs, last playoff series, getting checked by Lou Dort, he's had enough success that his style does work.
Yeah, and as well as with the Rockets losing, it's never, because I think they do. Daryl Morey does a great job finding pieces to try to complement and make this work to exploit strengths. However, when they lose, and it's usually you're looking at James Harden as the reason for this loss. It's your star because you're supposed to take on star. James Harden is usually the one to blame for a lot of these unfortunate losses. Chris Paul injury against the Warriors, sure, but again they had another game where they missed 275 threes. So I think they're, it's still taking on the likes of the stars.
I agree. This series,
LeBron, every time LeBron wins, his role player, Mike Miller hits 8 threes, Shane Battier hits fucking 15 threes, like something ridiculous. It's because LeBron is facilitating to make this happen. It's the same idea.
It is. And this series is really unpredictable from here on out. Game 1, the Rockets look great. Game 2 was the Lakers. Do you have a feel for the rest of this series?
Again, I'm still going this way. I think the first game, the Lakers tried to play the Rockets game. The Lakers tried to outspeed run against the Rockets. And the second game, the Lakers realized, hey, we are way bigger. So I think that, I think that's part of it too, is that, again, it's such a mismatch of differences in attempt and style that they should be playing this game, that it's the Lakers have to play big and AD should just, there's a few possessions last game where AD is literally being covered by Harden in the paint. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, it literally looks like, a college kid playing with 8th graders, and they got to continue to exploit that strength.
Yeah,
however,
beating him.
as we said, 3 still worth more than 2. So if the Rockets can just completely keep the speed, keep the momentum up, and just bang threes, it's the same idea. You're living with the line. You're living with the 3, dying with the 3, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. If the Rockets hit their shots, it's a different game. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. So game 1, AD, he had a great game, 25 and 14 on 10 of 16. But game 2, 34 points on 15 of 24. For the Lakers, I mean, that's what you're talking about. Like, he needs those extra 8 shots. They need to get him those extra 8 shots. You don't want, the extra. You don't want 2 of those shots going to Dwight, 1 of those shots going to Javal, a couple going to KCP. Just let AD take advantage of your strength, which is being bigger. Get AD the ball and let him cook. But like you said, it all depends on the Rockets. They make or miss. They have all of those guys. They're going to have at least another 2 games where their team is hot and they're just raining threes. So what are the Lakers going to do to respond? What are they going to do to stop it?
Keep letting Russ be open.
Keep letting Russ be open. Russ, man, you know what? Here's what I don't understand about Russ's shot. Functionally, there's not a whole lot wrong with it. You could nitpick here and there. He jumps really high in the air. His release is probably like a split second late, but he's balanced. He gets clean looks a lot of times. He's got good follow through. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is a Major League 2 thing. Maybe he needs glasses or something. But functionally, it's as fine as it's always been. And he's never been a knockdown, lights out shooter, but he's always been capable. And now he's more open than he ever is. So it leads me to believe that this has to be a mental thing. It's like, even if he's still athletic as all hell. He's still the fastest guy in the court. He still jumps ridiculously high. So it's not like, oh, his athleticism is gone and now he can't shoot. He's still a ridiculous athlete. It's just got to be a confidence thing with him as far as the jumper goes, which is weird because he's the most confident dude in the world.
Yeah, I think that might be part of his problem. I think I don't know, man. Russ, he's playing like shit. I hate watching this version of Russ. Besides all of that, he had 7 turnovers also. You can't keep turning the ball over. They're giving him the shots, and it's like, part of me is like, you got to kind of take it too, because, they're doing it on purpose, and if you hit 2 or 3, it's going to change the entire defense that they're trying to play, because they can no longer double or help elsewhere as much. But on the other side of it, if you don't hit 2 or 3, you're dead.
Yeah. So, he's got to take the first 2 or 3 for sure. Because like you said, if he does that, the entire defensive game plan changes.
Also, your classic Jeff Green game, just the other way.
Yeah.
Jeff Green, 21 points, 0 for 2.
21 minutes.
21 minutes. I'm sorry. 21 minutes, 0 for 2.
If he had 21 points, but he was 0 for 2, and he was just like, you know what, I'm taking
free
it.
Throws, baby. Free throws, even if
he really proved our point home.
Jeff Green, and this is what you live and die with Jeff Green. It's your Russian roulette of Jeff Green. This is what it is. He plays 21 minutes, and you didn't even know he was out there. I don't get how he does it. But to give you an idea, the Rockets had 13 bench points.
Yeah, it's not a lot,
and they all come from one guy.
Yeah, their bench. I mean, that's their thing. Their bench, when they're making shots, they look like they have the best bench in the league. I think they should just stop playing Austin Rivers.
And they kind of did. He played 6 minutes.
Like, I think they just got to keep doing that. He hurts them too much because he just can't. He's like the one dude who you never feel like is going to get hot.
The problem with this is, like, going into this game, if I was Russ, I'd be like, I got to get it back tonight. It's my time.
Well, that's what Russ is probably thinking about as well.
Right.
I want to know why, like, Ben McLemore isn't playing. I think McLemore look good, and he's a shooter that I feel confident enough in that he's going to be able to hit these open shots when they need guys to hit open shots. Like, I know he's never had the reputation as like a super high IQ basketball player, but I mean, at least offensively, like, you know, he could just stand in a spot and knock down open jumpers. And when things slow down, I don't know. He's athletic. He could hit jumpers. He could attack one dribble, straight line stuff.
I just don't. I think again the issue. The Rockets, they're going to get shots. They just have to. You know, they got to go in at a higher percentage. Even though they didn't shoot that bad, they shot pretty good from three, but they were not getting to the paint at all or anything like that. Even Russ has to get more to the free throw line.
Yeah,
he shot 3 free throws. You know, that's a big thing.
He gets to the rim whenever he wants. Still, it's
right.
Just, he's got to get contact.
It's just straight covering him. No one's stopping his first step for sure. He can get by anybody with that first step. But it's the same idea where who the hell are they? What are they going to do at AD? If AD, because at this point, this series is up to AD. This AD, he says he feels like he'll play center. If AD will consistently just be in the paint, dominate, I don't know how they stop him.
No, they can't.
They can't. He's so goddamn big looking at him compared to anybody else on the Rockets have.
I mean, for the Lakers, if you're the Lakers, you want to just slow it down, grind it out, let AD work in that little elbow to the block in that area, make it so it's a possession game where the Rockets can't just go on a barrage and just rain threes if they're hot. But you know, that's something that AD has to commit to without like having his teeth pulled.
For sure.
Being willing to do something and wanting to do it are two different things.
And so far, he's been willing to do it. So I think that's, you know, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt in that regard. We said that it'd be hard for Dwight and JaVale McGee to play in this game, which in the series, which they have barely played, because just the Houston's gonna run them off the floor. Yeah. But Lakers countering with being smart by having AD play center or play actually more in the paint. PJ Tucker, that's just a nightmare matchup.
It's a nightmare. He does. I mean, you gotta credit him. He does his thing. And Harden. The other thing is the Lakers still haven't figured out how to stop Harden. Oh no, they can't. You can't stop Harden. Well, you can if you're Lou Dort.
True.
All right. So Giannis is questionable.
Hang on. Before we move on, Adele made a comment about this trade. I'll deal with any hypothetical trades. Why, anytime, shoot me on Twitter, or maybe after. We'll talk about whatever random trades that we could possibly come up with, and I'll tell you why I love it, hate it. But we'll cover this one now. So this one, I love it. However, that's why it's not going to happen. Why would the Jazz? It makes no sense for the Jazz to put Randle and Gobert next to each other, even if they do love it. There's just no mathematical way that Julius Randle and Gobert can play next to each other. So now you're back to trying to trade Gobert to make it work, and then you're stuck with what do you rather like? Donovan Mitchell, Randle, and Conley, or Donovan Mitchell, Randle, and I guess we already talked about Gobert numerous times, the nothing you can get for him, or Donovan Mitchell, Randle, and Gobert, where you want your driving point guard to get to the paint when you have two guys who are going to clog it the fuck up. So I love the trade for the Knicks. Therefore, I hate it for the Jazz. So the Jazz are not going to do that.
Yeah, I also, but shout out to our guy CP at Knicks Fan TV, who's getting some coverage for reporting that on his show. Yeah, I also don't think it's something that the Jazz would.
It makes no sense for the Jazz. Zero.
I mean, look, as far as Donovan Mitchell's fit with Randle, I think it's fine. Like, he could play with Julius Randle. But again, like Larry mentioned, Julius Randle and Gobert, they just don't fit next to each other. I mean, you're running into the same issues too. Like,
also, Mike, Julius Randle's $20 million a year, right? Mike Conley's 30. So you'd have to add in about a 10, 8 to 9 to 10 salary in there as well.
Beyond that, like, why? Like, what's even the point? Like, are you keep bringing Randle off the bench because Bogdanovich and Joe Ingles are going to start? And you're thinking when Gobert's on the bench, Randle could be like your Montrezl Harrell sixth man. Are you planning on starting him because he makes so much money, and then you're bringing Joe Ingles off the bench, and then that, kind of hurts your ball movement because without Conley, you kind of need that extra guy who's going to handle and create a little bit more than you would. So
we'll throw in Alfred Payton.
Okay. You know what? Problem solved. Problem solved, guys. All right, let's move on to Bucks and Heat. Miami's favored by 3.5. Giannis is questionable. Having him as questionable leads me to believe that he is going to do everything in his power to play.
Sure, as he should. And again, on the other side, I hear a lot of people crying about we shouldn't pressure these athletes to play. KD's shit and his story is different with Giannis is in a sprained ankle. It's different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Giannis sprains his ankle more, like it's sprained ankle, he misses.
It sucks. No, it sucks. I don't think Giannis. I don't think the Bucks Budenholzer are sitting there like Giannis. You're gonna play, right? No. Like I don't think that's what's happening.
That's more Giannis. Giannis right. Is saying, hey, I am going.
If anyone's a fucking athlete and played anything before in a big game, you want to be out there. If it's furthering your injury, you're gonna want to play. It's more so Giannis telling the trainers like, nah, it doesn't hurt that bad. It's more so that than anything else.
Right.
When does it come? When does it put it? You got to put some on the player. It can't be all in the ownership. It's got to be half and half. Did they have a gun to KD's head and was like, "You're going out there, right?" No, KD felt the pressure. That team was struggling without him. He wanted to go out there. The doctor said, "Yeah, we know." The doctors explained to him that your Achilles might pop while doing this. Of course not. Did the doctors know that? Probably not. However, it happened. It's unfortunate. KD was a star. He is an adult. He made his own decision. It didn't work out, unfortunately. Do you think this has worked? Do you think this worked out for the Warriors? Do you think the Warriors want to do this?
Right.
They literally risked their best player to pop his Achilles rather than, they literally could have just – where would you have a better chance of re-signing him? In the situation that he's healthy moving forward with the same team or risking his popped Achilles? It just doesn't make sense.
And the other thing, when he was on the floor, Kevin Durant was killing it.
Right.
He was doing whatever he wanted. Like he was moving. He looked great. It was an unfortunate thing. Should he have played? Obviously not. That's what we know in hindsight. If Giannis feels he can play, because this is not a regular season game. Like in Durant's case, it was the NBA Finals. It's not like Durant would have played that if it was round 2. He knew the gravity of the situation. He knew that he had a chance to add another championship.
Toronto cheered KD getting hurt. I never forget.
And Canadians are usually
really says a lot about Canada. Who created this narrative that they're nice?
South Park. Might be South Park. I mean, South Park probably has the best representation of Canada in any movie. But yeah, Giannis, I expect him to play. Now, how effective he could be, who knows? Your adrenaline.
What does that do with his injury?
Who knows? But I do think, regardless, Miami closes them out.
I just don't think the Bucks. Again, we touched at the beginning. I went over that the Bucks, they have to get transition points. Miami has absolutely shut down the transition. They were the transition kings with Wade and LeBron. They live this transition life. The Bucks, their half-court offense, it's horrible. It is hard to watch. So I think that I just don't know what they're going to do to create this. I don't know. Again, it's not on Giannis to do this. It's not entirely just on Giannis. I don't know what they're going to do, what structure to run an offense. And I'm sure we're going to get some they give the ball to Middleton more. They played well in the overtime without No, that's not the answer too. Middleton was hot. He made a lot of tough shots. Love you, Middleton.
That's it. If Larry is saying it's not on Middleton, that's the issue.
What about Julius Randle for Middleton? I think that it's just Middleton's he's a great player. I really love Middleton. He should be your third guy, and then that's a championship caliber team. Yep. The realism is that the Bucks are a Chris Paul type guy away. They need that. They need a guy. They need somebody else who's a primary ball handler to help them get baskets and get big shots. They just don't have it. It's not. We've known this about Bledsoe. It's not Bledsoe. They just don't have it. Who would be really fun in this team though, which I feel like everyone's got a million trade rumors and stuff like that. What if Mirotic never left? I would love Mirotic on this team.
Yeah, Mirotic would really help a lot. But he got bullied out of playing in the NBA by Bobby Portis. Once a Nick, always a Nick.
That one worked out. God, we really do share so many players. that one works out. I love Bobby Portis.
I hate that dude.
Hard.
Although I got to say, from a strictly like developmental perspective, Bobby Portis punching Mirotic was great for Lauri Markkanen his first 2 years, because instead of having to like pretend that Markkanen shouldn't have been starting, they were both suspended or hurt or whatever, and so no choice.
Because Bobby Portis punched Mirotic, Lauri had to play more, which his body wasn't ready for, so now he has a fractured hip. It's Portis' fault.
Well, I don't know where this fractured hip's coming from. I don't want you to put that evil on.
What's wrong with him? I thought his like hip was like broken or whatever.
I don't know. I think it was. I think Jim Boylan was wrong with him. I think that's what it was. I think everybody just so vehemently hated Jim Boylan.
Lauri missed a ton of the season last year. What did he miss for?
No, he did. He did. I want to. It was. I don't think it was hit. I think it might have been like lower back. I don't know.
Spinal.
It wasn't great, whatever it was, but
he's gonna be a great Nick.
I think it was Jim Boylan. I think it was Jim Boylanitis for everybody. They were just like, I don't need to play this one. But that evil's gone from Chicago. But yeah, Middleton, what sucks for in Middleton's situation is he gets paid like a number one option. He's ideally a third option or a 2B option. But the Bucks don't have the pieces to get somebody who's clearly better than him without using him as a piece. And they don't have a consistent third option if they get rid of him.
No, they need Conley or Chris Paul so goddamn bad. I don't know how you make it work with trying to match salaries, but goddamn, they need it.
Yeah. I would so much rather, I don't care how much Conley struggled this year. I would rather have him 100 times out of 100 over Eric Bledsoe.
Oh God, Eric Bledsoe! I can't believe how disappointing that this dude has been. Because he even he was hiding on the Suns forever. That this guy's gonna get to a team and we're gonna see what he can really do, and we have.
Yeah, and it's fine. He's a regular season player. He is what he is.
Get me out of here, LOL.
He's a good fifth starter, but unfortunately, a lot of times, your fifth starter, it sucks when that's your point guard.
Yeah.
Because your point guard's role is to facilitate so much.
What can Milwaukee do to try to win this game, to try to take back this series?
I mean, all right. So I would love to see more. If you're not going to put Giannis down low more, I would love to see more Middleton Giannis pick and rolls.
Yeah, sure.
How would you cover that?
It's going to be difficult for sure. I mean, because Middleton has to bring the ball up in that regard, or at least get the ball swung to him to create that pick and roll opportunity. And yeah, it's a lot on Giannis. It really is, because he's got to be the anchor on one side and be he's got to be the primary pick and ball the roll guy on the other side, which is rough. And they've been doing it a lot with Brook Lopez or something like that, and it's just hard to watch. So I think they got to. It's got to be. I think it's their best option. I don't love it. Because the problem too is that, all right, so when you're creating a pick and roll, besides those two guys, someone else is going to collapse on Giannis when he's rolling to the basket they should.
The weak side's going to tag him.
So you're going to have to, you need an open shooter in the corner to create it, and it's got to be, I guess, Brook Lopez.
Brook Lopez. I mean, put Korver there for the 15 minutes that Korver plays. Run a ton of pick and roll. Put Korver in that
for 5 minutes last game.
Because I get it. Like, Korver is not exactly. He's never been a defender, even when he was, younger. So sure. I get that. But the dude's never going to go completely cold.
No. He's
too good a shooter.
He's been in the league too damn long. He knows there's no cold day for a Korver where he's just going to be in his head and stop shooting. He might have a bad game, but eventually
bounce back.
It's going to bounce back. It's just statistics at this point.
I trust Korver more than I trust Pat Connaughton.
Sure.
I just do. I get it. He's younger. He could probably do a little bit.
Korver played for the Bulls. Connaughton didn't.
Well, we traded Corver for caps, or like, I don't know, a trade exception or something that we let expire. So that was another great move. Oh, what are we contending for a title? Let's just get
Foreman, or is it Jim Boylan? You can't have all these illnesses in there.
You're crossing the timelines. No, look, Middleton is a really underrated player in general, but that dude could pass the ball. He's really tall, and it puts a lot of pressure on whoever is guarding a Middleton Giannis pick and roll, because Giannis is going to roll to the hoop, and you have to go with him because he is, like, think about it. You have to go with Clint Capella. If Clint Capella creates rim gravity, what the hell does Giannis do? Who never misses at the rim. And if he gets the ball down low, he's just scoring on you.
Yeah.
So you have to have two go with Giannis, but that leaves Middleton open. Either open if you go under the screen, Middleton's got an open three at the top of the 3-point line, dead on, dead center. Or if you're playing drop defense, Middleton's going to be able to come, maybe shoot that. He loves the mid-range area. Like, that's, to me, what is going to get Middleton going. If Giannis plays, Giannis is going to dominate the game the way he does. The problem is that how does everybody else dominate? To me, Middleton, in that regard, it one, as a creator, it gets the ball out of Eric Bledsoe's hands because he's not creating anything. And two, it puts the pressure on Middleton to go and be a scorer, which they need. It puts the pressure on him to be that number two option. We're giving you playmaking abilities. Either make a play for yourself, make a play for somebody else. Like you said, the help is going to collapse. They're going to tag Giannis. And probably it's not just going to be the one corner guy who's going to tag Giannis. It's going to be a bunch of guys trying to go double down, triple down on him. So to me, I want to see more pick and roll possessions, high pick and roll with Giannis and Middleton. That's what I love it.
I love it. And I love Middleton. I'm his biggest fan from day one. I love Chris Middleton. However, the issue that I can see the smart breakdown you just did, the problem I see with it is that, remember, everyone's fighting for their jobs, and especially Budenholzer if this team doesn't get out. If Budenholzer tries this strategy and it fails by taking the ball out of Giannis' hand and everything like that, it's going to be blamed on him, even if it was the right call. So it's not going to be blamed on the players.
I don't know if he cares at this point. He keeps making comments because everybody's just like, just play your players 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, we're good. We do what we do. So I don't expect him to make an adjustment.
No, that's for sure. Because again, that's more job security. Because again, at this point, if they lose, it would just be Giannis was hurt.
Like, I don't expect him to make any adjustments.
No, and that's where Spoelstra's just, oh my God, putting on a clinic with him.
Oh, for sure.
What Jimmy's been able to do, I know you can't wait to talk about Jimmy, but what Jimmy was being able to do, Jesus Christ, he's so goddamn good. But again, it's a lot of what we were talking about before. That's where I continued not letting you get any Jimmy points in. Sure. That's where we're able to continue what we're talking about before in regards to putting players in their best situations to succeed. When Jay Crowder is the perfect example of this.
Yep.
We've seen Jay Crowder on I think 15 teams at this point, and every time what happens is that he gets put in a great situation. It works out incredible. He's a complete, a contributing great player on a winning team. Then he'll go to a team that just doesn't make sense for his strengths, and they ask him to do something that he's not. And then he's 3 points fading, to 10 minutes a game, Jay Crowder. He finds himself in another great situation for him in Miami here. And he's hitting clutch shots. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. I love Jay Crowder. I love watching him play. His offense and what he can do. He's basically like the Marcus Smart of this team, in my opinion, he's going to help defensively. He's going to do stuff that affects the game without scoring. And any points that he gives, just bonus.
Yeah, I agree. He's been excellent defensively.
Yeah, good defender. He's huge.
He always has been.
He's athletic and huge.
So he played with Jimmy at Marquette.
I cut you off from Jimmy, though.
With Wes Matthews.
Sure.
Like, that is an insane college team.
Sure.
Wes Matthews, Jimmy Butler, and Jay Crowder. Don't want to get into college basketball because who cares, but how does that team not just dominate everybody? Yeah,
I'm a Kentucky fan now.
Are you? Because your boy De'Aaron Fox.
No, because the Knicks just signed all the Kentucky guys.
Oh, okay. That's true. Kenny Payne on the Knicks now. That means that it means the Knicks are going to sign every single Kentucky guy that has ever played in the NBA, right? This is the Devin Booker.
No, that's how that works.
Okay. I think I'm just going to start the rumor. Sources say Devin Booker pushing his way to the Knicks. Let's see how far we could extend the rumor.
Let's do it. I want to create that narrative. We need 10 likes today and a couple of retweets. My sources tell me that Devin Booker's looking to get out of Phoenix, and he said the Knicks specifically.
Devin Booker realized after going 8-0 in the bubble and still missing the playoffs that Phoenix is not his way to a competitive team. He wants to take his talents and turn around Madison Square Garden.
He said that he's been watching Mitchell Robinson Twitter highlight videos, and he wants to play next to that guy, not Ayton.
Has DeAndre Ayton had Twitter highlight videos? I don't
None.
think
so. 0 Twitter highlight videos.
You heard it here first. Devin Booker to the Knicks by the February trade deadline.
For Julius Randle.
Mark it down, put it in the books. I honestly, here's my thing with Jimmy. It actually makes me sad to talk about him sometimes.
Because you let him go for Chris Dunn?
Because we let him go for Chris Dunn, who, oddly enough, was supposed to be, I think, the centerpiece of that trade. And turns out...
Watching that dude in Summer League, I was blown away how good he looked in Summer League, which I get it. Summer League doesn't mean anything. Kevin Knox was a superstar in Summer League. But Jesus Christ, I was like, oh my God, the athleticism this guy has. I can't believe that's not translating to anything, contributing to anything in the NBA.
I have to say, he turned in one of the more underrated defensive seasons I've seen in a long time this year. He was unbelievable defensively. Unbelievable. Lockdown, clamps. Like, he's a guy who, when he leaves the Bulls, if he doesn't chase money, which he should chase the money. But if he were to be like, I want to go play in the playoffs, play on a contender, like, he's a guy that you would be like, oh my God, Chris Dunn, how did the Bulls let him go? And it's because he's not in the role that he's meant to play in. But he's just an unbelievably athletic, tenacious defender that is going to go somewhere. Honestly, a lot like Frank. Like, that dude is going to look a lot better when he's on a good team and he's just catching, shooting from the corner and defending his ass off. Chris Dunn's,
No, for sure. I mean, I can't, I'm a big Knicks fan. I'm not a Frank guy. But if Frank, we're also, again, same thing the role before with Frank. The Knicks are not using Frank the way they should. He should literally just be a 3-and-D guy. I get it. His 3-point shot sucks. I get it. But his defense is insane. However, if he's on another team just taking open jumpers all day, he's not Lou Dort bad from 3. If he can literally get to some version of being next to LeBron, like, how good would he look on the Lakers right now?
Yeah, he'd be huge. I mean,
they need him. They fucking need him.
Yeah, I would look. I hate KCP. I just hate him. I think he sucks. I think he sucks, and sometimes I don't think he knows he sucks. At least Frank knows that he's not a good shooter, so he's not going to force stuff. Like, he's just going to play his role.
I think KCP, what happened was I played NBA 2K, I don't know, let's just say like 13 or 14, whenever the hell KCP got drafted, and I did my own personal My Player, and I landed on the Pistons, and I'm like, wow, this dude, this guy keeps banging all these shots. So he was a really good video game guy the first year, and then I watched him play in real life. I'm like, oh no, he sucks. That was my bad. I got biased because I was on the Pistons.
Oh, this is why 14.
Damn it, I get it. Right.
This is why the 14-year-olds on Twitter are so annoying to argue with.
That's it. They get that's where they get it. It's everything they got. They just got their My Player. They get drafted to that team, and that's where they're biased.
We're getting so far off track today. It's incredible.
No, I mean, I think we covered all the games. We've hit that. If you're still watching at this point, I think you like the delusion.
So we have Lakers -5, Heat -3.5.
Or you left it on and went out of the room. I'm gonna probably take the Heat to close it out. No, Giannis hurt. Middleton is not. I love my boy Chris. He's not doing that again.
I agree, but I'm going to take Houston +5.
I like it.
I'll take Houston +5. I think that they could I think they don't have as much as they have an AD problem. I think the Lakers have a Harden problem. And I actually think Russ is going to have a decent game tonight. I don't know why I have faith in Russell Westbrook, but I do. And I'm going to take them +5, whether they win or lose. All right. So before we go,
3-and-D being all you do is shoot 3-pointers and play defense. So a great defender who you want to put on somebody to try to lock down. Like Patrick Beverley is technically a 3-and-D guy for the most part. You really just want him to be on one of the better players and then shoot him three, just be in the corner and shoot threes when called upon. Shane Battier.
It's basically the Rockets.
Yeah, right. Their whole lineup.
PJ Tucker defends, whoever you need to defend, and he sits in the corner and shoots threes. Robert Covington defends.
Yeah.
Sits, shoots threes. It's just a guy who's literally as simple as that. You're hitting threes and you're playing defense, and you're not relied upon to put the ball on the floor outside.
Yeah, like Chris Paul's not a 3-and-D guy because Chris Paul you're going to be your primary ball handler and everything like that. It's going to be, your primary job is to hit threes when called upon and play defense the rest of the game.
Yeah, and that's why, we think that a guy like Frank Ntilikina, Chris Dunn, whatever, if you simplify their offensive role where all they got to do is hit spot-up shots and let them defend, you play to their strengths, which granted, Knicks, Bulls, they don't really have the opportunity to let guys play to their strengths necessarily. But, when they eventually make their way onto teams where they can play to their strengths, they'll look better and people will be like, oh, man, why didn't they look like this early on?
The problem is that it's because they keep bouncing back between the Bulls and the Knicks, and both these teams suck. So it's like they can't ever lose their strengths. You're going back and forth.
That's it. At this point, it feels like we're rooting for the same team,
I guess. With Frank, the Knicks are still making Frank bring up the ball and try to create an offense and trying to run pick and roll with Frank. You got to simplify it, make him play 3-and-D.
He's going to look awesome. All right. So we did our best bets, and we went at it today. Almost an hour for the show. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody who stopped by. Make sure, you retweet it out, you like it, you subscribe. If you're watching replays, share it out. Come back 9 a.m.-ish.
Appreciate y'all.
Every weekday. Always got new stuff coming out. We just dropped at the Hardwood Herald a video about LaMelo Ball and where are some of the best landing spots for him in the draft. And
I didn't watch it. Did you say Bulls or no?
I did say the Bulls.
Yes.
I did.
He's starting to turn.
I did. I said the Bulls. They're not the first choice. I think that he's a fun fit with the Charlotte Hornets.
He's not going to the Hornets, man. Michael Jordan has a vendetta against LeVar.
I had to mention it. But yeah, so we always got good stuff, and we'll be back tomorrow. So
Last Dance 2, LaMelo Ball.
Do it.